Hello everyone, good morning. My name is George. I'm a mentor on the GATS program, and of course as my normal routine, I'll be doing another video to show us how to translate. In this case, another translation video. We'll be looking at analyzing network traffic with VPC Flow Logs. This demo is definitely going to be a bit more, in fact, more engaging and more complex than the normal translation, but I'll use this opportunity to show you some cool stuffs that Linux can do. Okay, so first of all, let's open up, right click on that button and open up in a private window. Okay, I think I already have this opened, so let me close that one. Okay, so we're here. We weren't asked to sign in because, of course, I had already signed in. But if you are asked to sign in, please use your credentials that is associated with the GATS program for Pluralsight. Okay, so in this lab, we'll be doing analysis of our network traffic with VPC Flow Logs. And of course, this is the overview. In this lab, we configure a network to record traffic to and from an Apache web server using VPC Flow Logs. We then export the logs to BigQuery. You export the logs to BigQuery, and then you analyze them on BigQuery. Okay, so we'll be doing several things. All right, so let's see how we can begin. All right. Okay, let's start. Let's look at the first task. Of course, I will just copy the name of the lab, use that in the name of my document. I have this opened already. Hopefully it's clear. All right, let me bring it in a bit. All right, so let me create a new file, demo.md. Okay. All right, so that's up and running. I'm using a markdown file, so oh, sorry about that. All right, so let me paste that in. So that's the name of the lab, and then the first task there I can just copy. Let's go down. Of course, we will not be running this lab, but I actually ran the lab before now, so that I can get a feel and be able to translate it properly. And of course, I also created a shadow project on my GCP, and I'll be showing you how I use that to be able to understand how to do the translations properly and get the kind of results that you expect. Okay, so on the first task there, we'll be creating, I said, let's do a step 1. Okay, step 1. And there we are supposed to create a custom VPC network. Okay. Okay, let's look at the lab instructions. Okay, so the VPC network custom version, of course, the custom VPC network does not have subnet ranges in the regions available and the zones. So we will be doing that ourselves. So no region will be assigned any IP address. We will have to create that for ourselves. And of course, if you're creating a shadow project, also use a custom VPC. That way you don't get so much traffic using your default VPC. Okay, so let's see. The custom VPC will be called VPC net. We'll enter any description, and after that we create a subnet. Of course, when you do this in the console, this will be done all at once, but doing it from the command line, you actually need to create this custom network. After that, you create a subnet. So let's do that. So create that. We'll do that in one go. Just make that step 1 and then go through that. So let me be sure Okay, we have that in order. No, let's come in a bit. Okay, so gcloud compute networks create VPC nets. That's the name. Network subnets mode. That will be custom. Okay, and then a description, anything you like, say my custom network. Okay, all right, so that's done. Then let's do step 2. Create the subnets. Okay, so create subnets in VPC, custom VPC. So you can put that whichever way you want. Okay, whatever way you want to word your creation, to explain what you're doing is up to you. So here we will do networks subnets. Okay, subnets creates, and of course VPC subnets, that's the name, and a region is US Central 1, and then the range. Okay, let's look at the IP range. Okay, that's the range 10.1.3.0 with a mask of 24, and flow logs is switched on. So 10.1.3.3.0/24. Let's put quotation marks around it, and then at the end we will now enable flow logs. Okay, so that's been done. What's the next thing we're supposed to do? That would be step 3. Okay, what does step 3 ask of us? Okay, so we've done that one. The next thing, we create a firewall rule called allow HTTP SSH, and in our new custom network, the targets will be any resource that has this tag, and of course we will use IP filter will be from every IP range, and then we'll allow port 80 and 22 traffic. Okay, so let's quickly create that one. Let's create a firewall rule for that. So let's say create a firewall rule. Let's get that. I just want that color to be different. Okay, so that's what it is. So gcloud compute firewall rules creates allow HTTP and SSH traffic, and the network we'll be working with is our VPC nets, and it will target tags will be HTTP server, any resource that will be tagged that has that tag. Direction is ingress. Okay, and then source range. Okay, source ranges will be 0.0.0.0 and that. Okay, so then the rules here will be allow. Okay, so the rules here will be TCP, and we have port 80, and then we have SSH TCP port 22. Okay, so and then the action will be allow. Okay, so we've done that one. All right, so what's the next thing? Let's take a look at what we're supposed to do. So after doing that, the next thing we should be doing is creating task 2. We're creating an Apache server. Okay, so this involves several steps. Okay, the first step here, step 1, will be to create the web server. Create the web server. Okay, then create the web server, or create the instance. Okay, create the web server first of all. I just need that color to change to be sure. All right, let me do. Okay, so we are good to go. So let's create the web server. G-Cloud compute instances create. Okay, so let's look at, okay, we create an instance, a compute instance first. After creating a compute instance, we will now go in there and of course install a web server, and of course the instance will be called web server in the US region and the zone C, and the machine type will be F1 micro, and of course we will use the VPC network and this subnet, and of course we will tag the instance with this tag so that the firewall rule we created previously will affect that particular server. Okay, so the server is called web server and it's in zone US Central 1C. Okay, and machine type is F1 micro. Okay, what else? Let's tag it. Tags, let's do this. http server, and then what network will we be using? Network is VPC net, and then subnet is of course VPC subnet. Okay, all right, so then we install the Apache server. Okay, step 2, install the Apache server. Okay, so let's go down. Let me see if my color changes. All right, so okay, it'll come in a bit to get that done. So let's do the next thing, install the Apache server. Now let's look at the process of installing an Apache server. We will install the server and of course updates SSH into the server. So of course we'll SSH into the instance first, then we install the server, and then we'll of course update before we install the server. Let me zoom in here a bit. Okay, so we will SSH into that instance, update it, install the server, and then create a default index.html file and then get out of there. Of course we're doing it from our terminal, so we don't need to okay, yeah, we need to exit from there. Okay, because we actually did SSH into it, so we have to run this exit command to get out of the SSH session. Okay, so let's go that. So several processes here. First of all, we will SSH into that server. So G-Cloud compute SSH into, okay, instance is SSH. Okay, and the instance here is web server. Let me be sure of that command. Let me open a new window. Let's do G-Cloud. Okay, come in here. Okay, let's do G-Cloud. Let me be sure of that. Compute instances. Do we have any SSH? We don't. So we don't do this. We do this. Okay, so that command should be changed and updated. All right, so we don't do this. We do actually do this. Compute SSH server. So once we're in there, the next thing we will do is we run the sudo command. Why isn't this the color I expected? Sudo. It's not doing what I expect. I expect it to be this color. Let me see. Okay, didn't work. Okay. All right, sudo apt-get updates, and then if that is successful, you do sudo get install Apache server, and yes, that's option y tells the apt-get command not to request any confirmation from you, just install the server. And of course, the OR operator here, let me zoom in a bit. The the AND operator here says, if this command is successful, run this one. If it's not, this one will not run. Okay, so it's a trick we use on Linux so that you're sure your first commands run. That's assuming the next command depends on the previous one. That will ensure that is the case. That happens. Okay, so when we are done with that, we will now do echo. Echo. Okay, let me look at that. Let's go back to. Okay, let's just copy this. Okay, typing it will take a while, so let me just copy that. So paste that in. Okay, so that works out. Okay, so let me go back. I need to get rid of one of the echoes. Okay, so let me get rid of the first one. Okay, let's see how that was done. Okay, there's nothing there, so that shouldn't even be there. So let's go out to the end, echo, and of course that will be passed. And then at the end, if that works, let us exit from the terminal. Okay, so no, you don't need to put the backslash. Okay, so let me explain this command a bit. So like I told you, this will ensure that this runs before this runs, and if this runs successfully, then this runs. Now let's look at the echo command. The echo is simply echoing out this portion and then piping it using the pipe operator into the T command. And of course, you're doing it like an administrator, so you need to use the sudo command there too. And it will create a file, index.html. And of course, if that file exists, it will overwrite the file. We are not using the A option with the T command because the A would have appended this portion to that file. We're simply saying if this file exists, then get rid of whatever is in there and then replace it with this one. Okay, so that's about that. Okay, so that's for task step 2. Okay, so what's the next thing we're supposed to do? Let's look and see. Okay, so once that is done, we come down here and then we have task 3. We'll verify that network traffic is logged. Okay, so let's place that here. And then of course the first thing we do, we have a first step. Okay, and what is the first step there? The first step is get the external IP of the server and use the curl command to generate traffic, generates traffic. Okay, so we are going to see how that's going to be done. I have a nice command. We want to get the IP address. Okay, so let me show you something which I of course have shared with you before. Let me go to my own console Where is it? It's about here. Okay, so let me go to the instance I created for this demo. Okay, so I already have an instance called Jojo, I think. Okay, so I have an instance called Jojo, and I want this external IP. Now, the whole essence of doing this in the terminal is so that you don't need to go to the console. It would have been easy to just copy this from here, but we need to find a way that will give us this value. Okay, so that we can take that value and then play with that value. Okay, so let me show us how we can get that value. All right, let me go to this tab. Let me clean that out. All right, so we have Jojo. So let's do compute. Let's do gcloud compute instances list. Okay, so we will list instances, and we will talk about okay, let me be sure. Let me see. I think. All right. Filter name. Okay, so we are not doing that. That shouldn't be what we should be doing. All right. Okay, list. So let's list first, or we simply describe. Let's describe, because that's what we're really after. Okay, describe web server. Okay. Oh, sorry, it's not web server. It's Jojo. That's the one I created. So we want this to be represented. You could do this in JSON formats if you wanted to. Okay, so let's bring that out here. I'll show you. Okay, so let's come up here. We are after this set of values, this element, this one, and then this is what we are after. Now, if you look at the other flat representation, it's the same thing. We have here, okay, here, and of course this is what we're after. So how do we get that? Okay, let's go back to our command. Instead of JSON, we could say I think value, if I'm not wrong. Okay, value, and in there we have, let's go back up, we have network interfaces and then access config. Now, network interfaces is just an array, starts there, ends here, and then we have an object in there. Inside that object, we now have this, and of course this. Then this, of course, has an object, which is this. So let's see how we can get there. So we say network interfaces. Okay, then we do that. Then we have access configs, and we hit the first object there, and then net IP. If I'm not wrong, we will check that. I'm sure you close that, and this. Let's go back up and check and be sure. Okay, not IP, not net IP. So let's go back here, do this. Let's hit that and see what will be returned to us. Okay, so that's what we want. Now, if you go back here, well, we were here. We want to. First step is to get the external IP and use the curl command. Okay, so let's go down. So get the external IP of the server and use the curl command to generate traffic. Now let's go back to the lab. Let's go back to the lab and see something. Let me have you look at something. Okay, so when we get the external IP, we are supposed to generate traffic. Here is the traffic we should be generating. Okay, so we've jumped over a lot of things, creating the flow logs. I won't, of course, let's go back here and, okay, find this, go search for ensure the IP address contains this. Let me, okay, generate network traffic. So get the external IP. That command I just showed us here actually does that. That is all of this. does that for us. Okay, so when we have the external IP, of course, this manually we can look at our JSON payload, and of course we will see all this come up. So we will look at that much later. But let's write the code to actually generate this traffic so that we can use it from our terminal. Let's see. Okay, look at this. We should export a variable called my server, okay, and then use that in our command. But we'll be doing it differently. We'll actually change this, okay, passing that command we just wrote, and then have the for loop use the curl command upon and the result of this command to generate traffic. So we'll just create that part of it so that whenever we wish to generate traffic, we'll simply refer whoever is running our code to that part. So let's do that here. All right, so we need to come in a bit. So for I equal to 1, and then I less than and equal to 50, I increment I, and then do, okay, let's do, put that there, do curl, and then of course let's put in that command we did. We'll do gcloud compute instances describe Jojo and formats. Okay, it's not Jojo, it's web server. That is the one used. And formats, we have value network interface faces. It's an array, and we get one element from that array, access configs, and then we'll get the first object in that one, and then return this item. All right, so we'll close that, do this. So when we do that, okay, close that one with that. Let's be sure we are doing the right thing. All right, there should be two closing, okay, one inside the other. All right, so let's do this. All right, okay, so that closes that, and that closes that, okay, and then we say done. All right, so that happens. Now let's go to step 2. All right, let's go to step 2. And step 2 says access the VPC Flow Logs. Access the VPC Flow Logs. Okay, so how do we do that? Let's go back to our screen, and of course okay, let's go back to our screen and see the instructions. Okay, so let's go back up. We have to go back up a bit. Okay, okay, so we are going to do this part, which is now one of the things we're supposed to do there is to get our own IP address. Now I'll show you a command that could help us do that, but from what I experienced, I sit behind a proxy, so at times my IP address is not truly representative of what is being given out there. So, but let's see what we can do. Let's clear this up. Let me run this dig plus shorts my IP dot open dns.com at resolve 1.opendns.com. all right, let's see what it gives us. Okay, let me be sure I got that. Resolver, please, not resolve, resolver. All right, so let's do that one. Okay, so that's my IP address. Okay, that's my IP address. All right, so let's what we do, let's look at the command again. It says open a new tab, go to this, what's my IP, to get your IP address. That command gives you your IP address. Then access this. Now navigate to login. Under audited resources, put in a filter of this all subnet IDs. Under the all logs filter, select VPC flows, and then click OK. Enter your IP address to filter. Okay, let me show you how that is done in the console. Okay, so let's go to logs. Okay, let me close this, and let me remove this, and then okay, let me click on this, clear filter, and return to basic mode. All right, so this is what we have. Now we are told to okay, no new ones. Okay, so let me just generate some traffic. Let me spin this up. 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 Let me do this again. Just refresh the page. All right, so let's come back. Let's come back to logs. Okay, let's load new logs. Okay. All right, so let me check something. So the first one says under audited, we should pick, let me go back there. Under audited, okay, we should pick GCE subnetwork and all subnetwork as a filter. So let's add that filter here and here. Okay, then under all logs, okay, so we have something back. Let's go back here, let's see what it says. And then under all logs, VPC flows. Okay, let's check that one out. Under all logs, VPC flows, click OK, and it runs. All right, so it returns this. Now we get our IP address from here. Get this one, copy that, close that. We put that here and hit filter. All right, can we see? All right, so this is that. And then what again did they ask us to do? They said we should enter this and then expand one of the logs and then use that to answer these questions. We will expand JSON payload and then expand connection. Let's see if we can find that. Let me expand this one. So we have JSON payload and then we have connection. Of course, that is what we will be using to answer a question. So we need to do the same thing. We need to do the same thing from our console. Let's see how that will play out. All right, so let's do gcloud. Gcloud login. Read logs, and then of course let's see how it happens. Okay, so we're supposed to put, after the read command, we should put a filter. It's optional, but we will do that because we want to be specific on if you look at what we did here, we use this filter. The filter here. Okay, the filter here filter the subnets, the compute engine, compute instance, VPC Flow Logs. That's what we used. So that's the filter we'll need to replicate to get this out. So let's see what happens. All right, so we won't be doing this freshness. We won't be adding this. Of course, we will add a limit of 1. And let's see how that goes. Okay, so let's go back. All right, so let's go back here. Let's add the filter. The filter here is resource.type. Okay, GCE underscore subnets work. Okay, and we use the AND operator, and we have a log name. Log name. All right, log name. We have projects, that will be guards 2020. Okay, and then we have logs, computes dot google apis.com. okay, and of course then we have VPC Flow. All right, then let's hit that and see what it brings out. Let's hope we don't get any errors. Okay, error, log name contains illegal characters, large characters, alphanumeric. Okay, so log name. So that we have projects, which is guards 2020, logs, compute this, and flows, illegal characters. Okay, so let's go back. Let's go back here. Let's look at what we're supposed to do. Okay, so this is what we'll be using. So we'll get rid of that one. Okay, so let's call that up again. Let's go back. Let's do this. Let me see that. Let me see this again. Okay, VPC flows. Okay, so VPC flows. Let's hit that and see what happens. Receive unexpected value passing this. Expected the form projects, project ID, logs, log ID. Okay, so we're having log ID here. Okay, so project ID logs, log ID. Okay, so let's get the logs. Let me open a new. Let's get the log ID from that. Okay, so gcloud, login, read. Okay, let's read the logs. Let's get the, I think, oh, that's not what we want. Let's list the logs instead. Okay, clear that, this. Okay, logs, and of course lists. Let's list the logs. Okay, so we are interested in this one. Okay, so this is the log ID. Let's get that one. Let's go back here, and of course let's call up that command. Okay, let's get rid of that one all the way back here. All right, let's see what happens. Oh, and it does that. Okay, so that's a lot coming out. It's got a lot. Let's stop that. We kill that. So there should be a limit. Let's find that. Let's look at how that is done. Let's say gcloud, login, read. Sorry. Now let's hit double tab, read. Okay, and then we use the help system. Okay, so there's a limit. Okay, a limit order. Let's see what order is we want. Default is descending. Ordering of return logs based on timestamp. Order must be one of these descending. So we want descending. Default is in there. So limit. Let's put a limit of 1. Okay, let's put a limit of 1. Let's go back here. Limit 1. All right, so we returned 1, and then we returned 1, and then of course we could make it into a JSON format. So you could do type JSON. I hope that applies here too. Okay, it does. So we have that. So JSON payload connections, and of course we get what we want there. All right, so we are supposed to filter out, let's go back to, so we are supposed to use this and that will represent the logs, and then we pick the field. So for this particular one, access the VPC Flow Logs, we could do that. Okay, enter your IP address in the search bar to return only the entries that pertain to you, okay, to your IP address. So let's see, in doing it here, we're able to get this. So let's replicate all this in our console, in our terminal. Okay, so we have this that reads, and then we want to grep, we want to filter, in fact. So let me do JSON. I don't really know how it's going to be, so let's grep that, and then of course when we grep, we run the dig command we ran earlier. Okay, so we'll do that. Okay, so resolver one dot open dns.com. okay, and of course the limit of 1. Let's put the limit at, okay, so let's leave that one. All right, let me remove this here. Okay, so we can filter it properly. Let me zoom in a bit, and then limit 1. Okay, that's wrong because grep doesn't have that patterns file. Let's go there. Dig, let me do this. Okay, let's see. All right, so that is returned. Okay, this is all the entry for my own. Okay, it's still coming up a lot. Okay, still coming up. All right, so it read, I think it's about 3 entries or thereabout. If I follow this destination IP, or it's more than that, several of them. Okay, so this is not what we want. We want to return just 1. If we do this, it comes out that. So let me get rid of this. Okay, we'll pipe the output and only return that which concerns us. Let's see how it happens. Okay, still gives us that. Okay, we're returning the IP address. Okay, so with that, okay, we should be able to add a filter. All right, so let's add a filter so that it gives us what we want. Now let's go back here. This was included. This doesn't really represent, but let me go to the preview, the new UI version of that command. Let's click here. Okay, so I have this. Okay, so let me get rid of this. Okay, so let me check the resource, which is this, and of course all, and all of this. Okay, that's that. And then the log name will be VPC Flow Logs. Okay, and of course let's run that. Okay, so we get all this. Now let's actually filter that further. Let's go down here and say let me put my I know. So that's not my IP address. Let me come back here. Let me pick my IP address from the terminal. I hope I can still access that. Okay, no. Let's close this. The IP address should be somewhere here. Okay, let me flip through my commands. Okay, let me come here, go there and run. So dig, no, dig, no, no, that's not what we want. We'll kill that. Let me clear the screen. Let me do history, and I grep for dig. All right, so we have dig. It is okay. We have one here, so 3. Let's run that one. 3 2 3. All right, so this is our IP address. We pick that one, copy that. We come back here and put that in and add that. All right, and then we run the command. It returns. Okay, so we want to use this. Okay, so let's try that out. Let's pick that one up. Okay, let's go back. Let's look at our terminal. Where were we? We're here. I believe we're here or thereabout. Okay, so let's run that. Okay, let me close this. Let me take this one out. Okay, not necessarily. All right, so and okay, all right, so we will do this and this. Go to the end. All right, let's see if we get errors there. Then we need to refine that filter properly. Okay, so it returns, and we will find out if all of them should be to our liking. So we've done that. Let's do let's format that in JSON. Okay, all right. Okay, so let's see what and what. So it returns. Okay. All right, so let's see if okay, network, VPC subnet, IP address, and of course a lot of it. Okay, so we can just pick on the last one. Let's view. So limit 1. Oh, 2. Need 2. I should have done 1. Let's do 1. All right, so we're in 1. We go back up, and of course there you are. Okay, the IP address we're filtering for, and of course all the values we ought to use to answer the question. So this is what we'll be getting. Okay, so let's quickly copy this code. Okay, take that back to access VPC. Let's check and see which part of our assignment we are on. Okay, so this is access the VPC Flow Logs. Okay, access VPC Flow Logs. Okay, so okay, all right, so that is done. Okay, all right, so that will give us what we want. Let's see if we can get rid of the name per se. Oh, sorry, okay, we're there already. All right, so I did that here. Okay, so in place of this, let's get rid of that one. Let's do dig shorts my IP open dns.com at resolver 1.opendns.com Okay. All right, so let's be sure we won't get errors. Okay, let's see. I suspect we will. It's a bit tricky when you're walking. Okay, so it returns nothing. Okay, because this isn't giving us what we want. All right, so let me just do this and see what it returns. So copy this and put that there, hit that. Okay, command not found, so that's a problem. We should have echo. All right, let's echo that. Okay, so that's that. So let's go back up, let's go back, go back, echo. I don't still think we will get there. I'm kind of apprehensive. Right, well, let's try it, but I don't think we'll succeed. It won't. All right, so we are not doing this right. Let's see. I don't think. Let's see if we can get this here and that. Okay, still nothing. All right, so we are unable to pass this. So, but I want to see what we can do to pass this command. And if we remove this. Okay, so let's do it this way. Let's go back here. Let me get rid of this. Let me come here. Okay, so that's okay. Okay, definitely. As now to put open DNS. What is your GCal crashed? Okay, so we're having errors trying to combine terminal actions to this. Let me get rid of this, and I want to run this, echo that, return that, and then it won't go, it won't budge. Okay. All right, so let's see and see what happens. Okay, plus unorganized arguments. Okay, this shouldn't be an argument. This should actually return that. So let's go back here. All right, so okay, no, we're still getting that. Let me okay, so I want to incorporate that into this bash command. Okay, this will run, definitely wrong, but how do we incorporate it into? That isn't working. Okay, so let's get some help. Let's come here. Let's see how to run bash commands in GCP commands, within GCP commands, Okay, so running bash scripts, scripting, Commandline, executing bash scripts with a webhook in this. No, it's not what we want to do. Gcloud commands, right? Bash scripts. No, that's not what we want. Okay, let's go back. That isn't really helpful. Nothing is returned. Okay. Okay, let's do it this way. Let's create a variable. Let's export it and let's see what happens. Export the variable, call it my IP. Okay, and that would be dig shorts my IP open dns.com. okay, at resolver 1 dot open dns.com. okay, all right. Okay, so if we do echo my IP. All right, so we'll get that. So let's go here. Let's go back here and do. Let's get rid of this. Let's put this. Let's come here. Okay, and then we do my IP. All right, so we don't need this, do we? Now let's see what happens. Okay, still getting nothing. Okay, let me put this here and put this here. We're still getting nothing. Okay, let's see. All right, passing bash variables to gcloud commands. All right, so let's do that one. Okay, let's see that. Let's see what we can do. Command line. No, that's not what we want. Let's be a bit more specific in gcloud. Okay. Okay, let's see how this guy accesses his and see if we can solve a problem using his own style. So what does he do? Response to gcloud. So no, that's all we want. Okay. Okay, it keeps it scripting. Let's see what this one. Bash command that uses the output of another bash command. I know how to do that one. Okay. We know the IP, we can get it, but I want it incorporated into the command, so we run it at once. We don't need to go this is not what we want. This is not what we want. Okay. passing external values. Let me see. Bash values into GCP commands. Okay. Okay, let me, while that is coming up, let me look at this command once more. Obviously, there's something we are missing. Okay, let me try a trick and see if I'll be able to trick the system into allowing me to do that. Okay, no. So that token isn't accepted. Still isn't accepted. Unexpected token is this. Okay. All right. Oh, sorry. Let me do this. Let's see. It's still the same thing. All right. So this token, it's this. Okay, so we need to get this one out. I'm not sure we can do that. Okay, it doesn't return what we want. This value is there. It's just for me to add it. Arguments. Okay, we're learning, so let's see. This is not what we want. This is not what I want. So I'll close this one. Close this one. Okay, so so passing values, command substitution. Okay, let's see. Let's try this using bash command substitutions in gcloud commands. Okay, let's see how that one works. All right, let's go down. Using the false substitutions. Okay. All right, so let's see something. Let me get rid of this, and I'm not sure that will work, but still nothing. All right. Okay. That works great here, but we want situations where we run these commands. That's not what we want, curl. That's easy. That's not what I want. Let's go back here. All right, so that isn't that possible, but should be able to do this. Let's see. Echo this. All right, and if I come in here and I do that, okay, I didn't echo that, so obviously we are getting it wrong. Okay, passing my environmental values into gcloud commands from terminal on Linux. Okay, so in environmental variables, let's see that one. Effectively specify variable in gcloud run. No, that's not what we want. Let's see. Command line, set this. Update environmental variables key value pair. Okay, so let me check something. Let me come here. What are we trying to do? We're trying to read logs. Okay, so let's do gcloud login read and do a help here. Okay, building account folder project, so there's no mention of environmental variables. We only use filters, and the filter is a problem. Okay, so using timestamps and the rest, no, that's not what we want. We want to be able to pass in that from our terminal. Okay, so perhaps we'll leave that one the way it is for now. Okay, so let's just put in our IP address. Let me look at that command. Of course, we have the IP address, so we will state that I'll come back to that later. Come here and say echo. Let's see how that command runs. Let me do that. Let me return here, and of course, okay. All right, so let me remove that. It's not necessary to do that. Okay, echo dig. Okay, just echoes. So let's remove the echo there. All right, so let's do this one here. Copy, come back here, paste that in, and then put the external your own IP. All right, so we are done with that. Access that will give us that. We will get back to that. I'll find a way to insert that. Let's go down. Okay, this is done. We'll be able to answer these questions when we run that this command here. If we run this command, we should be able to get what we want. So let's run it one more time. Let's clear the screen and then run. Okay, sorry, there's a mistake. Let's go to home and gcloud and run. All right, so if you go up a bit, that's what we're supposed to do. We can use that to answer these questions: source IP this, destination this, and protocol number. All right, so export the logs. That's the task 4. Let's do that one. Let's click here and let's go back here. So what's the next thing we do is to go to the end and have this. All right, so task 4 Task 4 is export the log. So first we will create a sync, I believe. Let's go back. Create an export link, sync, sorry. The name of the sync will be this, and of course we will create a data set with this name. So let's do that quickly. So like in all things, we have step 1, which is create a sync from your logs to BigQuery. All right, so first of all, we will create a data set, BigQuery, and make data set will be called BQ underscore VPC flows. Okay, then we will now create the sync to that data set. So click login. Okay, this isn't coming out well. Let's go down a bit, go down again. Okay, gcloud login. Okay, I thought that worked. It shouldn't act that way. Interesting. All right. gcloud login syncs creates VPC flows. That's what it's called, or will be called, flows BigQuery. Okay, let's see how the sync is created. Let's go here, let's clear this out. All right, so gcloud login, sorry, there's an error there. Login syncs. Okay, creates. Let's see what it says. Okay, so the sync will have a name, a destination. Those two are required. You can include the children, that is any sub tables and the rest of them that might be present. Okay, so then you have the log filter, which will determine what is actually pushed to BigQuery. Then these are every other thing down here is optional, but these two are required. So let's provide those two. So we have a name and then the destination, BigQuery, Google APIs.com projects. Okay, and then we have another command here that will run info and grep projects and pipe that into the cut command with a delimiter of a colon and second field in that result, and then we pipe into the cut again. Delimiter in this case will be square brackets, I believe, closing square brackets, and then we want which field, the first field, and then we pipe that again into another cut command. We get the delimiter, which would be in this time opening square brackets, close that in, and we get the second field, close that. Okay, and data sets, and which will be Q underscore VPC flows, and okay, flows and log filter. Remember we have created logs filters here. Let me show you. Okay, these are the filters we'll be using. Okay, so we'll use that one just as we did before. So let's bring that up. Okay, so the filter there is resource, the type equal to GCE underscore sub network. Close that, and we have and have log name. So we corrected the log name last time. So the project here is I'll use the name of my own project, but of course you should use the name of your project. I don't know what your quick lab session will be called. Use anything. Logs compute, Google apis.com and /VPC flows. Okay, that's the name of the log ID. Okay, we did the same thing. Okay, 2 actually. So let's go back. We have that 2 should be okay, let's do that. Let's do this. Let's represent it this way. Okay, let's see if we will get what we expect. Let's copy this. Let's come here. Okay, we already run this command, so let me get rid of that one. Let me do a / here. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, so there's an error, so the ID isn't what we expect. The ID is sorry. All right, that one. Okay, so to get the ID, you simply do logs read. You do gcloud logs, and then you list. When you do that, you get a list. So we are after this one. So you just copy this ID and use it in your command. So it's a %2f to represent a / I believe. So let's go back here. %2f. Okay, so let's put an f there. Okay, so that's flows, and then we have another and operator, and then let's put our IP address there. The IP address is 217.117.10.94. Okay, that closes, and then we have that, and then do we have anything? Okay, so these I already created this command. I already ran it in terminal, so this will actually create a sync, and then the next thing we do is to generate traffic. Okay, step 4, generate traffic. Let's see what it says here. Okay, so create a sync, generate log traffic, and we run this command. So we don't need to repeat ourselves. We have that already somewhere here where we actually did that. Let's go down. Okay, so repeat task 3 step 1. So we go there, and in the second one, step 2 of task 4 said repeat task 3 of step 1 of task 3. Step 1 of task 3. Okay. All right, so we do that, and we don't need to. We simply just go down and do the next step. Next step is step 4, step 3, and it says, okay, that's generate traffic. We've done that one. So the next one is visualize the VPC Flow Logs in BigQuery. Okay, so how do we do that? that command is super involved. Let me show you this. It took me quite a while, some time, to get it in order, because running this in a terminal is very different from running it in a bash script. In a bash script, it's much easier. You will just echo that, and in this case, this was the problem, trying to get your table ID. And of course, I can show you my table here. Let's go to my BigQuery. Okay, so that's my table here, and if I want to get table details, I click here, and of course this is what I wanted to get, to be able to get it out there. Okay, so this was crazy. So what I would do here is I will paste this command as I set it up, and then walk you through and explain a bit. So let's go over to where this was done. Okay, so there are several ways in which you can pipe commands in queries into BigQuery in the command line. Let me show you. Let's clear this screen. BQ query help. All right. Okay, let's go to the top. All right, you see this? These are the two examples. All right, so let me zoom in a bit. You see, in the first instance, you just pass the query command to BigQuery. And in the second instance, you actually echo that and pipe it into BigQuery to run it. The second one actually worked. The first one worked for some commands. The second one worked for every instance of the command. Okay, so let me go back here. Okay, so for visualizing, which is the first one, we will copy this. Okay, I will explain the command after pasting it and make some modifications. Okay, so let me see if I'm in there. I think I should use this. It saves me a lot of trouble. All right, so let me come in here a bit and then paste. All right, so let's go back up here. Let's echo this. Let me look for where my cursor is. Okay, it's here. Let me take this one in a bit. Okay, go up. Okay, of course you just need to test these commands before you can really confirm it works. Of course, if you're extremely good, then you don't need to, but usually you just have to test it to be sure it's working before you now put that in. But it might be difficult to test it because to test it you need to actually create a shadow project kind of, and then run the commands the way it should be. Okay, so first of all, let's look at this command from here. We need to pass in the name of the table. Okay, so we actually took the table in the UI. You can easily get the table, but how do we get it in the command line? Of course, you run this command. Okay, so let me drag out this command and place it somewhere and explain it. All right, so let me copy that. Let me just kill this one and clear the screen and then paste that command there. Hope it doesn't run. It will run. Okay, so first of all, we're creating a variable called table name, and then we will export the variable to make it available to any command, so that any command can access it when it runs in this particular session in this bash terminal. Now I'm going to run this command up to this point, and what does this command do? I actually had coded this. This is the name of the data set. You could also run another command to give you the name of this data set. Give you the name of the data set, and then use that name to, of course, add it to the name of the table. Now let's go back and see something. Now if you look carefully at my own instance, you will see, let me zoom in a bit. Okay, so from here to here is my dataset name, and from here, or dataset ID, from here is the table ID. Okay, so there's a full stop, there's a period between it, and that's the period I represented here. Of course, you could actually use this to run a command to display your data sets, and then whatever that command gives you gets it here. I leave that to you to modify it and you see fit. So I know my data set is called this, so I don't actually need to pull that name out and use it. It's already known to me, so I don't need to run any command to get it. But if I were to search through a lot of data sets that are available, then I will need to actually run that command filters and picks up that name and then appends it to that. So okay, this one here queries using no use legacy SQL, formats it pretty JSON. It says select all from this data set, and then the information we're looking for is the tables. So if you were to take this, okay, copy, and I would love to do this in the same screen, but things don't usually work out well. My Tmux doesn't work so well with my bash script. I mean bash terminal. It doesn't display the colors so that you know what is what. Okay, so let me paste this in here and run this. Okay, so I missed something definitely. Let me close that. Let me go back. I missed something. Something should be closed, and that is that. Okay, let's see. While that is running, let me be sure. Okay, it's not the same mistakes. Okay, okay. All right, so this is what is returned. So I am after the table name, which is this. Okay, so when I use this set of commands, as you see here, the table will be returned. I will first grep. I'll first grep for the table name. So it will return this line. Okay, then the next thing I do is I would pipe it into the cut command and then divide each value using the colon delimiter. So it will separate these two based on this colon delimiter and present to me this and this, and I want the second value, and I tell it I want the second field in that output. Then I'll now pipe it in and get rid of this one, because this will be returned to, that you can see here. And finally I cut it and then divide them based on the quotation marks and then return the second field, and of course it gives me the table name. Okay, so if I were to remove all of this, okay, something's happening. Okay, I'm at the beginning, so let me get rid of we have to, okay, so 1 2, let me go to the beginning and of course get rid of all this. Okay, echo. Okay, let's see. Oh, I missed something is missing. I definitely missed. Okay, sorry, I have something there. All right, I missed this. Okay, so command not found. Okay, that's because I actually did, if I put this, okay, so let me do this. Let me bring that one here. Let me go to the beginning. Let me go in here and do echo. Okay, and command not found. Why is that? All right. So PQ. All right, so we have that one that returns this. Echo, cut this and get this one out. Okay, let's run that one. All right, it says command not found, and that is okay. Let's see what happens. All right, so let me clean that up. Let me run that again. Okay. All right, so that's the actually that is the name of the data set and then the name of the table. That's because we did this here. Okay, so that will return I think I removed something I shouldn't have removed. Let me check that out again. All right, so I did something I shouldn't have. Okay, so I was trying to explain this. Okay, so that the whole of that returns that value as table name and then exports it into the bash environment. Now I can access that name here, and of course it's a bit tricky because from here, this point to this point, I actually grouped them in bash, not gcloud. Then I told bash to append the next line to this portion, which is this. So bash will simply just run this and pick up that name that we created here. Okay, the value we created there. And then I asked it again to append the next group, which is from here all the way down. Okay, let me go down a bit. Okay, so append the whole of here to the other parts. That's what the backslashes are for. Okay, it appends the next line to the previous one. Then of course I pipe that in because I have my echo command that's pushing all of this and then passing it through the pipe into this BigQuery command, and of course it runs. Let me go up a bit, too much space. Let me delete, go up, delete. Okay, so that is that. Perhaps we could run this command and see how it comes out. Let's do that. All right, so let me pick the whole of this, copy and open the terminal. Go to the terminal, pick any one. Let's clear this one and then let's paste it there and then hit enter. Let's see what happens. Okay, command is running. Let's hope we don't get errors. All right, so there you go. Let me make this in. Okay, so that's the result of our command. All right, so if you were to run this command in the example we gave, of course we'll get all this back. Okay, so that's that for visualizing VPC flow logs in BigQuery. Okay, so let's see the next thing we're supposed to do. This is quite long, but that's the way it is. All right, so the next thing, of course, we will pick up and of course we'll answer these questions. Okay, let's see if we can answer these questions. What's the source? What columns does the result contain? Let's look at that. Let's look at our results. We have VPC name, bytes, subnets, source IP. So you can use this to answer those questions, of course. This is there. Byte sense, this subnet name, destination IP, source port, destination port, source IP, subnet name, the total bytes, the VPC name, the protocol, and all that. Okay, so that is taken care of. That is taken care of. The next thing we do, we analyze our VPC logs in BigQuery. Okay, so let's get down to that one. Okay, so if you come up down here, and that will be step 3, task 4, step 3. All right, so I put that out there. Okay, step 3. Let me be sure I got that right. So if I go up, okay, step 4, not step 3. Let's go back and change that, step 4. All right, so this again is very much involved, but of course once you get the first one right, you will notice this everything is a bit similar but a bit different, because the command is a bit different, and that's the command. Okay, so let me go to where I actually wrote that command, tested it, and made sure it worked before using it. So let me copy that from here. Okay, let me go back to my terminal, and of course I come in here, 1 2 3. Okay, all right, so let's go up, let's go here, let's do that. Okay, so that's cool. Now if you look very carefully, this isn't different from the first one we did. And of course, in the first one we did, I also had this AND operator. What this says is, if this command is not successful, don't run the one after it, because we'll be using this variable here, and so if it's not set, then this other command will error out. So in this case, we will of course produce the same result as we did in the previous command, and then after that we will echo this. Why have this E here? I don't really know, but we'll run it now and see the result. And of course, you see here is a bit tricky. We also grouped this command and asked bash to append this part to this command. We kept a space here, that's important. Then we asked it to add this one to this other group down here. And of course, when it comes all in, you now pipe it to the BigQuery command. So let's run that command here. All right, so let me leave that one there in case I need to show something to you. Let's put that one there and run that command and see what happens. Okay, so we're doing analysis. The other one we visualized, here we're doing analysis. Let's see what the result. Okay, great. So we have that, and the E there doesn't really matter. Let me get rid of that E and see if our command will still run as it should. So let me do that one out and then pick it up, copy it, come back here. No. Okay, pick that one up, paste it in, and hit that. All right, so it gives us the same thing. The E option in echo tells it to interpret the backslashes as they're used and all that, so we don't need that there. So this is an analysis of what we expect to see. Okay, so let's we've done that one. Okay, and then of course we check, and that's the end of translating the whole of this into command line. So this is the code. I would write that file. Okay, so that's the end of it. It just has how many tasks? 4 tasks, and it depends on you. You could write it any way you like. You know, you could have 10 steps in just one task. It depends on you, the way you break it down. So I'm going to make this available on GitHub. I would post the I will post the repository URL so that you can take a look, and of course if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. So it's been a long session. Thank you for watching, thank you for your time, and of course if you created any shadow projects to help you understand some commands, you know, you run test, please make sure you go back, shut it down, get rid of all the resources so you don't get charged, especially when you enabled flow logs. Okay, flow logs are actually costly, you know, so you would set the interval to a bit something within your budgets so that these logs are not always pushed to your BigQuery instance. Okay, so thank you for watching, and please leave your comments and your likes. Bye bye.